Okay, so I've flipped it around and I'm gonna point to where, or point the camera where he's pointing. Where do you want to start, Shane?
All right. So when they put this back together, they didn't seal up nothing. You're losing air in the attic completely. Nothing is sealed up. They just tossed it on here.
Okay.
So that's the problem. That this box here, we have to rebuild this half of it from here up to make a transition. So this goes from here over to here like that, because what they did is they covered the hole where you're supposed to be getting more airflow.
Yep.
You see down there.
You can hear it too.
All right. They didn't seal this thing. It's just leaning against it. So we need to basically rebuild this whole portion here properly, so you get the right amount of airflow going into your house.
So it angles into it instead
right,
of
and
just
so that
being
you
a
don't freeze
90
up.
degree.
So you don't freeze up your system and ruin the condenser outside.
Okay.
Then here, they put the flue pipe back together, but when they put it back together, they disconnected a part there and didn't put the proper piping back, so they just threw tape around it.
Okay.
Up there, it's touching the wood. It's not supposed to be touching the wood, so I have to move this entire thing over by just cutting out part of that wood to get it away from it, because it's not allowed to touch it.
So not hard, just gonna take some time.
Everything's gonna take time.
Yeah, okay.
Then here you have your gas line, which is hooked up, but the downside to it is when they hooked it back up, they didn't put the proper sealant right here for the connecting.
Okay.
And it's missing a drip leg to catch debris and sediment. And that's something you're supposed to have every time you put in when you're doing a brand new one like this one. So
Okay.
in this area, because of where you're located in town. So it needs a drip leg, and then this float switch is not properly wired up for the primary drain line, so we need to wire it up properly so it turns off this unit whenever this drain line backs up. Then we need to rebuild and add a drain line here to go into your drip pan, because there's supposed to be another drain line coming from here into your drip pan that they didn't do. Right now, if this drain line backs up, it's going to fill up the drip pan in here and just pour out the sides all over the ceiling and all over everything.
So it won't necessarily be caught into the
So it won't catch it. It won't necessarily catch in the pan because it's going to bleed out the sides. As you can see, still again not sealed, just thrown together.
Yeah.
Okay.
So basically, you've got to go back and
So I have to rebuild
reseal
that.
everything.
The drip pan here, as you can see, it's not balanced at all. It's not level. We need to.
Yeah, I don't know if you can see
We have
it,
to
but-
re-level this whole entire drip pan. Then you come to the supply portion over here.
Mhm.
Same thing again, unsealed in all kinds of spots.
Which is
all-
strange
all over
considering how new it is, right?
All over here. It's just because they did a lazy job. They didn't use the right tape, and they didn't level it out. They just threw it in and called it a day.
Okay.
Over here, you can see where it's all come off, falling apart. That's again not properly duct, so you have airflow just coming out of there.
Okay.
And you're air conditioning your attic instead. Okay.
Okay.
Here over on this duct line, they didn't attach it. It's just sitting on there. So this is actually
Oh gosh.
this should actually be attached with a zip tie around the edges here. So on these duct lines that are connected to the duct.
Okay.
Other than that,
Okay.
that's your inside unit.
Okay, and then we're gonna go look at the outside
Yep.
next. Okay.